So tofu is commonly made with a soy milk that's coagulated and then pressed into a block that you could cut up and enjoy and flavor and eat how you like. It's very similar to the process of how cheese is made, where you coagulate a regular milk. Burmese tofu is a kind of tofu that is made without coagulating. It is made from chickpea flour. Burmese tofu is really easy to make. All you do is take a cup of chickpea flour mixed with about a cup of water and some salt. You then boil another cup and a half of water, turn that onto a low heat, add the chickpea mixture into the boiled water, and whisk until it is smooth. You can then pour this mixture into a square dish, refrigerate for an hour, and you have yourself a firm tofu made from chickpea flour. And then after an hour of sitting in the fridge, this is our Burmese tofu. I mean, look at this. This is awesome. Now this is very much like tofu. It should be fairly flavorless, but you can cube it up, sear it, flavor it, throw it in anywhere where you would use tofu. Look at this. Look at this stuff. Now the Burmese tofu has a little bit different quality than regular tofu, as where you're not gonna squish it and get any more water out of it. And it does kind of have a texture that will pull apart more layered like, and almost kind of squish, and you can see, like a soft cheese. The texture has that like soft cheese-like consistency, and I love that. So today I thought, why don't we take a Burmese tofu, flavor it up with something kind of funky, something a little bit acidity, and see if we can get a funky Burmese tofu cheese really quick. So we should be able to put this vegan cheese together in 20 minutes, let it rest for an hour, and you have yourself an awesome vegan cheese. We're still gonna use 1 cup of the chickpea flour. Now for the initial hydration of the flour, instead of water, we're gonna use 1 cup of cashew milk. That is going to give us a creamier cheese. Now at this point, we're gonna add some of our funk. We're gonna do our fermented tofu. I'm gonna use 2 blocks of the fermented tofu, so it's gonna be about, I would say personally, it's about 2 tablespoons. Half of a teaspoon of lactic acid. This lactic acid is actually made from sugar beets. Then lastly, about a half of a teaspoon of salt. Now we're gonna whisk this together, whisk it as smooth as you could possibly get it. We wanna make sure those pieces of tofu, that fermented tofu, now fermented tofu is really soft. It's very cheese-like in its like creaminess. So just make sure that you really whisk this in here. And this should end up being very smooth, very, very smooth. I'm just gonna use a spatula to kind of scoop the sides down in. Now you can give it a taste. The flour's uncooked, so you know, there is gonna be some flouriness to it, but you can just kind of see how it's coming along. If it's funky, if it has that taste that you want, that flavor that you want. I like it. Now what we're gonna do from this point is let this guy rest for about 10 minutes. While we're letting this rest, we're gonna bring 1.5 cups of water up to a boil in a medium saucepan. We're gonna pour this mixture in, turn that heat down to a low heat, and whisk pretty vigorously for about 8 to 10 minutes. You'll see this turning very smooth, very shiny, very glossy. That's how you know it's done. Then, just like the Burmese tofu, transfer this over to a small dish. I'm just using like a 5x8 dish, like a storage container. The thinner it is, the more liquid will release and the firmer it will get. I mean, and then look at this. After an hour, this looks amazing. This is our Burmese tofu cheese. Now I'm gonna attempt to do some like slices on this, but this is more of like your funky cheese than it is like your sliceable, meltable cheese. This probably won't melt all that great, but I still would love to get a slice. And I think this should slice pretty well with a cheese slicer, and it totally does. Look at that. I'm so excited about that. And it should have a nice funky taste, which it totally does. Has a slight sharpness from cheddar from the acid. Wow, very, very nice cheese taste. The longer you let it sit, the firmer it will get. But after about an hour, it's just perfect. Perfect. Okay, baby, I thought we had like a crostini or something, but we don't. So here is a piece of the funky Burmese tofu cheese.
It's good.
A little funky?
A little funky, but it tastes like cheese.
A little sharp?
Mm-hmm. for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be great on like a sandwich. Or on top of a cracker.
It's unique, right?
So good.
Yeah. Funky cheese.
Delicious.
Oh.